Hey everyone, welcome back to my Mexican kitchen here in Switzerland. Today I have a recipe which is prepared mostly during Lent. So if you guys celebrate Lent, this is perfect. It's a Mexican dessert. If you don't celebrate it, it's just as yummy. You don't need to participate in Lent. It's called Capirotada, and there are many ways to prepare this. There's many different types of recipes, as is with everything. I mean, each family cooks different, each region cooks different. And this recipe, the way I'm going to share is how my mom prepares it, how her mom and her grandmother and great-grandmother and so on. So I hope you guys enjoy the recipe. The ingredients you need to make your capirotada are 4 bolillos or 2 baguettes. The bolillos you can find in any Mexican bakery. Half a kilo of piloncillo. 150 grams of almonds. 150 grams of raisins. Adobera cheese, 100 grams. This is optional. I'm not going to put it in my recipe. 2 eggs, 1 tomato, 1 cinnamon stick, 2 cloves, cooking oil, 1.5 liters of water. Okay, so let's get started with this delicious recipe. To start, the almonds we're going to be using in the recipe have to be skinless. And as you have tried, I guess, skinning the almonds is really difficult unless you soak them first. So you're going to put to boil a bit of water in a pan, and you're going to have them boiling in there for about 5 minutes. And after those 5 minutes, all you have to do is press on them and the skin will come off really easily. I already bought them skinless in the shop, so I can skip that step. If you guys can find them skinless, then super. And if not, it's very easy. Just soak them in the hot water. The next step is, whether you buy bolillo or a baguette, you need to cut it in small round pieces, and they're about 1 inch or so. And you have to let them dry either in the sun, which is the traditional way, or like I did inside my house. Since it's been raining, I couldn't take them outside. And I let mine dry for 2 days. The reason is, if it's dry, it absorbs less oil, because this bread we have to fry it. And you don't want it to absorb a lot of oil because it's like a sponge. So if it's dry, it absorbs less oil. And we're gonna fry it until it has a nice uniform golden color. Don't let it burn. So in a pan, just put sufficient oil to fry the bread, and be careful to just get it golden, and then take it out and strain it on a plate with some absorbent paper. Okay, so I got the breads all golden. I had already done 1 baguette to get a head start. I did the second one for the video. And the next step is making the syrup for our capirotada. What we're going to do is we're going to put the water to boil. And once it's boiling, we're going to add the piloncillo, the tomato, and the cloves, the cinnamon stick. We're going to put them all to boil. The thing we have to do is the piloncillo has to melt. Let me show you what piloncillo is in case you don't know what it is. Looks like this. It's also called canela or panocha. It has many different ways it's used in Latin American cuisine. It's raw sugar cane. It's unrefined. It's very delicious for recipes, not really for drinking. I've tried it in coffee and other things. I don't like it like that. But what we have to do is we have to melt these. As soon as it's melted, you can turn it off, and we're going to strain all the other things out. The tomato, the cloves, the cinnamon stick, we're going to strain them off. The cinnamon stick, it's better to break it so that you get it more infused into the liquid. Okay, so our syrup is done, our bread's been toasted, and now the next part is we need to cut our almonds into quarters. So each almond, I don't know if you can see, each almond's going to be cut into 4 pieces. Like this, we can start stuffing our bread with little pieces of almonds and raisins. Okay, so before I start with this, when we were making our syrup, I forgot to tell you guys to cut your tomato in quarters, and to break your cinnamon stick into pieces. It also helps get more flavors into the syrup. That being said, we're gonna start putting our capirotada together. It's kind of gonna be like putting a lasagna together. You have to do layers. You're gonna need an oven-proof Pyrex or anything you have, and we're going to put a layer of bread, and then we're going to soak it with a ladle. We can use, it's easier. We're going to soak it with a bit of syrup. The bread's going to get all moist, and once it's moist, you can start putting in the almonds. Let me show you how they look. They were all cut up already. So you can start putting the almonds and the raisins. You can poke some of the almonds inside the bread and also sprinkle some on top, and the raisins as well. And if you're gonna put the cheese, now would be the moment. It's either grated or crushed, and you put very little. Like I said, I'm not gonna put any cheese, but if you want to, it's also really nice. And again, we put more bread. We pour in a bit more syrup on top to soak it up. And then we put in more almonds and more raisins, and we continue doing this until we reach the top of our mold. We're not gonna fill it all the way to the top, just slightly under, because there we're gonna put a layer of egg. Okay, so remember the 2 eggs I asked for in the beginning of the recipe? Now it's the time to use them. We're gonna separate the egg whites from the egg yolks, and we're gonna whip the egg whites until there are stiff peaks. Once they've reached this consistency, we're gonna add the egg yolks, and we're gonna blend them in, folding very carefully. We don't want to break down those peaks. We want them to still be all fluffy, and then we'll do the next step. So this is set, and the eggs have been whipped. So the next part is we're gonna put it all over the capirotada. We're gonna spread it out evenly, and all the egg is gonna be used up. And if you want, this is optional, you can sprinkle a bit of sugar on top of the egg just to give it an extra sweetness. If you don't want, it's not necessary, it's optional like I said. And the next step is putting it in the oven. We're gonna put it at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit. And there's no specific time. We just want the egg to get a bit golden and some of the liquid to evaporate with the heat in the oven. As soon as you see that the egg is golden, we don't want it to burn, you can take it out of the oven and it'll be ready to eat. So we're done baking. This smells really, really nice. I love capirotada. It's a nice dessert that we get to enjoy once a year or sometimes more often, depending on if you want to bake it or not. One thing I want to mention is the syrup we make. I didn't use it all. You don't have to use it all if you don't want to. If you do, it's fine. This isn't a soup, so what the syrup basically does is you want the bread to soak in and get humid. You can calculate how much you add. I used, let's say, 2/3 of the amount or maybe a bit more, but it's just to get the bread really moist because it's kind of like a pudding texture. It's a moist bread. But otherwise, if you have syrup left over, don't worry. I can guarantee you guys are gonna love the recipe and you're gonna wanna make it again, so you can use that syrup and make a smaller portion and enjoy it all over again. I hope you guys like the recipe. See you next time. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please watch the other videos. Just click on the links and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.